Hey, so today I'm going to show you a budget editing / gaming rig for less than 80,000 Indian rupees or approximately 1100 US dollars. Full disclosure, this is just my config which I selected for my own personal usage. You can of course edit it. This is just one configuration out of many which you can get in this price range. So yeah, let me show you the config. At the heart of my build, I have the Ryzen 7 2700. It's not 2700X, but still at my budget, this is the best I could do. It is an 8-core 16-thread processor, and for multi-threaded workloads, it's an amazing little chip. And it does come with somewhat of a fancy rate Spire cooler. It has a base clock of 3.2 GHz and a boost clock of 3.7 GHz. And as usual with Ryzen chips, it is fully unlocked. So with a beefy enough cooler, you can really push all those 8 cores to higher frequencies and really get maximum performance out of this little guy. For my graphics card, I have the GTX 1060 6GB version by GIGABYTE. Even in 2018, the 1060 has a ton of power left in it, which you can see in any 1060 performance video. And with 6 gigs of VRAM, this will give you a little bit of future proofing as titles demand more and more VRAM. You can technically get even cheaper 1060s than the GIGABYTE version, which I have here, a 1060s by Galax or by INR 3D. You can save a couple of grand there. But for better after service, and since there are a lot of service centers of GIGABYTE available near me, it just gave me a little more peace of mind. If anything goes wrong, I can still claim my warranty easily. So yeah, I feel it's worth spending that extra grand or two. For my motherboard, I have the GIGABYTE AB350 Gaming 3. It's a nice little motherboard for the price, and you can't really go wrong with GIGABYTE again. It is a full ATX board, and the technical specs are right there on your screen. So yeah, for the price, I feel it's a great little investment, and it does have custom RGB lighting. So for the hardcore gamers, if you need that extra 1 or 2 FPS when you need it, that RGB light is right there for you. Looks good, doesn't it? For my power supply, I chose the Corsair VS650. This is more than enough for the build, and the price difference between a 550 watt and a 650 watt power supply honestly wasn't really that much. So I just went with the 650 one, giving me a little bit more headroom if I really need to upgrade in the future. For the RAM, I chose one 8GB stick of Corsair Vengeance LPX DDR4 2400MHz RAM. 8GB of RAM is fine for gaming and even some video work, which I am actually doing on this computer right now. But I do plan to upgrade it to 16GB once the RAM prices come a little lower, which you can do on this motherboard pretty easily since it supports up to 64GB of RAM. Popping the back cover off my case, there is a 240GB Kingston SSD. It was available for a pretty great price of around 3,000 to 4,000 Indian rupees. And for my main hard drive, it's a 1TB Seagate Barracuda, which I can't really show because it's in the hard drive bay of the computer and don't really have its box. Housing everything is the Aorus AC300w-R2 ATX case. I actually got it from an offline store for a pretty reasonable price, and for the money, this is an amazing deal. It is a very well designed case, and it has two 120mm fans, one for intake and one for exhaust. It also supports various radiator configurations, and of course, it has full RGB control. Why do flashing lights make computers so much more desirable? So these were the parts which I chose for my computer, and now here are some benchmark results. Playing some games on it, you can see playing Fortnite at the absolute epic preset, we are getting about to 80 to 90 FPS depending what we are doing and where we are. If you tweak the settings a little, just change the shadows from ultra to high, and there is a big jump in FPS. From 80 to 90, you're getting about more than 100 FPS most of the times. It's very playable. Jumping into an FPS like Doom, using Vulcan at the ultra preset, we are seeing about 120 to 150 FPS most of the times. If that's not playable, then I don't know what is. Playing an open world game like Far Cry 4, we are getting about 50 to 60 FPS on the ultra preset. It does go down to about high 40s at times, but changing it from ultra to very high does ensure that we are above that magical 60 FPS and gives us a really smooth and a good gaming experience. I really don't have any other open world games to play on it because I don't own any, so struggling college student, but still I'll try to add more games to my lineup pretty soon. So yeah, that's my computer. I do plan to make a dedicated editing performance video about this computer, so if you want to see that, please stay tuned. And if you have any other suggestions, please drop them down in the comments below. This is a new channel, this is like the first video, so if there is any constructive feedback, please be sure to leave them down below. I know it's not the most practical build, there might be better builds out there, but this is what I chose for my own build. And if you are a little bit confused on what parts to select, this is just one config out of many. So yeah, that's that.